You're really close to my face.
So what's up, guys? As you can see, I'm currently hiding underneath of a blanket. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to not block your beautiful view of my face. It is surprisingly not that late. I think it's only like 9 o'clock at night on Saturday, but it's currently -2 out. Fuck, am I cold, dude. And it ain't no joke being out here in this shit. But I figured normally I was only doing weekday vlogs, I was only doing like Monday through Friday, and then Saturday I'd post one every once in a while if I had something I wanted to post or thought about posting or found something that I was like, oh, I should post this. Then I posted that on Saturday. But and then technically Sunday never had anything ever posted to it. That was our way for a while, but with this whole change of trying to do it every day, I feel like realistically I should still do it on Saturday and Sunday, so that way I don't get out of the groove of doing it every day. I'm dropping the phone. Told you. And so here I am, completely frozen under a blanket. I got heaters rolling, and you'd be surprised at how even at -2 heaters don't do jack shit. When the air around it is so fucking cold, it doesn't matter if it's blowing out heat. The heat makes it like 2 inches and then stops and then just dissipates, leaving me to sit here to freeze. So pretty much if this blanket wasn't here, I'd freeze to death, because my own body heat is the only thing currently warming me enough to survive. But I asked questions about what everybody wanted me to talk about, obviously, and I definitely got a lot of good suggestions. And one of the many suggestions that I got was about my new gaming mouse and keyboard that I received from my amazing fiance for Christmas. And then the questions were just pretty much, why did we choose these? What was the point? Why did I choose what I chose? And the first one we have here is, and I know it's going to be like crazy to think that it's still in the box, but I'll get to why I have yet to take them out. But CyberPower PC is the name of the computer that I own, my gaming computer. Well, I should say it's the shell of the gaming computer I own. You all gotta start somewhere. And instead of building a PC from ground up, I decided to buy one that was pre-built, and then that way just replace parts as I would like to make them better, or so on and so forth. And so I have had quite a few gaming mice and keyboards, in my day. And the only thing that I'd say is bad about the keyboard is the fact of it's not, they call that mechanical, I think it is, or whatever, where you push the button, you can hear it when I press it on my keyboard. Like, actually, I got it sitting here. You can hear that noise, like that's me hitting the space bar. It makes noise, whereas like I'm not swearing that it's a mechanical, but some form of keyboard, which I think is mechanical keyboard, is the one where if I hit the button, it doesn't make noise when I press it. But realistically, my microphone's pretty good to the point that it doesn't pick up the small ambient noises in the background, and so because of that, it usually doesn't pick up keystrokes. So that's why I've never given a fuck about actually getting a keyboard that's silent. But this is what the mouse looks like out of the box. This is my broken one. And then you might be wondering why she bought me one and I haven't opened it, and I've been using this one. But Mainly it's because this mouse is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with this mouse besides I broke the clicker. The main, just lasered my face. That was great. The main click right there is broken. And it sounds fine, but if I go fast, I can't really get it to go very fast because realistically, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, barely. Right here in between the gap there, you can see a little bit piece of white. It's actually a piece of white paper that I shoved in between the clicker because the button was getting stuck down every time I clicked and it wouldn't pop back up. So putting that piece of cardboard between the button actually made it so every time I click, the button forcefully pushes back up because there's something forcing it from staying shut. But it needs to be replaced, but being as everything's out in the cold when I play, I've been playing a lot of games recently that have been requiring me to use only my Xbox controller, so that way my hands aren't out of the blanket and they're not on top of a mouse and a keyboard. So they're definitely, obviously going to be used the absolute shit out of it, but since I rarely have to use one, instead of plugging in a brand new mouse that then I have the chance of ruining it as well, and I'm only realistically need a mouse long enough to make like 3 clicks, enough clicks to click on the game to start it, and then as soon as the game starts I can start using the controller. So that's why I keep the shitty mouse and the shitty keyboard out. Oops, I dropped the new mouse on the phone. But this mouse has some badass accuracy to it, and it's weighted up to 5 grams of weights in the bottom of it. You can see right there, it's showing the depiction of the mouse with weights in the bottom and the fact that you have extra weights that come with it. Weighted mice are amazing when it comes to video games because it all has to do with drop factor. It's just a customizable thing in the sense of when you move a character's face from where they're facing, from like front to the, say you're going to make a full 360, right? So you grab that mouse and you move it all the way to the right because you're going to start panning to the right. So say you make it 90 degrees, but it's going to stop because you can't, unlike a controller, you can't just hold a button and it's just going to continue spinning. You have to keep moving the mouse to get your character to move. So you pick that mouse up and you move it and you set it back down and then you scroll back to the right to make it move another 90 degrees. And then you do it again to go 90 more. And then you do it again to do 90 more. So there's 4 times that you have to do this motion to get your character to spin full, 360. I mean, I'm not saying it's guaranteed 4, but, just for general speaking of this conversation, we're going with 4. So it takes 4 times to rotate, and so then you have it like this. So like this is you have up to 5 grams that you can add additionally to this mouse. So every person has their own, weight enjoyment, I guess. Mine, I just put the 5 grams in it. I like the heavy mouse, and the reason I like it is because when I move, say I grab the mouse, I move all the way to the right, like I was saying. But when I pick it up, when I let go, because I don't just set the mouse down and then move back over and pick it up and set it back down and move it over. I drop the mouse. This motion that I'm doing back to the left is like a throwing motion. I'm like picking the mouse up and moving it as fast as possible to the left, and then it falls down back onto its place, and then my hand lands on it and I move back over. But the heavier the mouse is, the faster it's going to fall from its its height to its flat spot. So the more weight I have on it, the faster I can just keep doing this in circles and have my character doing 360s constantly because my mouse can keep up with my hand. And that is why weighted mice are 10 times better than any other type of mice. On top of that, Gaming Power PC is just a very common name brand. They just make computers. So their stuff is, I only have one hand out, but they're cheap. The products themselves are cheaper, but the stuff themselves are good. I mean, my mouse lasted me a year. It should have lasted longer, but it didn't, and I'm actually quite happy with the fact that it lasted the year that it did because the mouse itself isn't that expensive, and it's a fantastic mouse. That's going to sit there for a minute. I'm not going to show you the box of the keyboard because there's really no need to, but I do have the keyboard, the broken keyboard, out. And it is not as broken as, okay, apparently I'm hitting buttons because the internet just started on my computer, but this is the CyberPower PC keyboard. And, you know, like I said, it makes noises when you press it, but for the most part, my microphone doesn't pick up that interference of the button clicking. It is a great keyboard. It should have lasted longer, but the unfortunate part about it is if I hit the backspace button enough times, the button on the inside of the backspace button is broken. So when I push down on the button too hard, it gets stuck down and it doesn't pop up and it won't let me type anything or do anything like that because it just automatically erases everything. And so that's why mainly it needed to be replaced. But yet again, same basis as the mouse, there's no point in plugging a brand new, perfectly working keyboard to literally use it long enough to type my password in to my PC and have it start up. You know, definitely, you know, when the warmer season pops up, I like to play Minecraft and shit like that that involves me needing a mouse and keyboard that you can't use a controller for. And that's when they'll be used and played with and, you know, and used for what they need to be. But for now, since I don't need anything but a couple clicks or a couple words typed, you know, I keep the shittier shit plugged in for now. That way I don't have to worry about ruining the nice stuff when I'm not even really using it. But last but not least, my most favorite part of this keyboard, besides the fact if it's just a good keyboard, it does what it does. If I hit this button right here, which if you can see it, I'm not really making anything really easy, but kind of looks like a light bulb for like a car, kind of like if you were going to